Hi, everyone, and welcome to our June edition. It is in the summer already, and hope your research is going along very well. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Irish Saturday. We're also going to be discussing the webinar for the month of June, and also the 1926 Irish Census, which is now available. And we're going to be talking about the American Civil War and how the Irish immigrants impacted the American Civil War. We'll discuss that coming up here in a little bit as well. You ready? Here we go. Our Irish Saturday for the month of June will be held on June 13th, so stop on by the Hoffman Research Library, which is located at the Minnesota Genealogy Center in Mendota Heights, Minnesota. Now, here's an opportunity to get some of your Irish research questions answered, and the Minnesota Genealogy Center is located at 1385 Mendota Heights Road, Suite 100. You can also stop by the library during regular business hours. And to find out more about the library and the hours of operation, go to the website at mngs.org. And our June webinar will feature John Grenham. His program is titled How Has the Irish Ancestors website Changed in the Past Year? The program is an online only session. It is scheduled for Saturday, June 20th and will run from 10:30 a.m. until noon Central Daylight Time. John is the host of johngrenham.com's website and the Irish Roots blog, and he's returning for his annual update. John's team has made major updates to the mapping features on his site over the past year. He will go over all the updates and what you can find on his website, which includes more than 8,000 new surnames and actual new variants of existing surnames. And we have a social gaggle scheduled for Monday, June 22nd. The gaggle lasts an hour and a half and is available on Zoom. It is open to all. There is no registration. If you have any questions regarding your most recent discoveries or information you'd like to pass on to us, stop on by and we'll discuss a few items first and then open up the conversation to all. Again, it's open and free to the public. Now, as of this past April 18th, the 1926 Irish Census became available online. According to the National Archives website, Census 1926 holds a unique place in history, as it was the first census conducted after the establishment of the Irish Free State. The National Archives homepage makes reference to the census as the story of us. From the homepage, you can find the link to the census search page. That page allows you to search for your ancestors and get a chance to see what the census looks like and what information it might contain about your ancestors. You can also find information about searching the records of previous censuses on this website as well. And according to the National Archives, the 1926 Irish Census recorded a population of over 2 million. This was a decrease of 5.3% from the 1911 census. The 1926 census data was originally controlled by the Central Statistics Office and then was transferred to the National Archives to allow for digitization. Census 1926 was stored in 1,299 boxes containing over 700,000 return sheets, and you can access the National Archives website at nationalarchives.ie. There is also an Irish touring exhibition regarding the 1926 census. The exhibition will be held at several locations within Ireland. The exhibition is also being held right now in Boston, Massachusetts at Boston College until September 6th. Access to the 1926 census is free on the National Archives website, nationalarchives.ie, with no need to register for an account or to sign up to any terms or conditions. This year, America is celebrating its 250th anniversary, and the Irish immigrants were very much a part of that 250-year stretch, especially during the American Civil War. And I recently spoke to an author, John Paniski, who wrote a fictional Civil War series called Snakebit. And he tells us that the Irish were involved in both sides of the conflict.
First, thank you for including me. I appreciate it.
It's quite all
Uh,
right.
Many Irish immigrants served on both sides in the American Civil War, and they weren't particularly well liked in America because, well, for the most part, they were poor, illiterate, Catholic in a largely Protestant country, and easily identifiable due to their speech and mannerisms. Nevertheless, they were eagerly recruited right off the boat in ports like New York, Boston, Savannah, Charleston. And in the North, the highest concentration of Irish recruits came from New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and our Illinois. The Surprisingly, the first two recorded combat deaths of the war suffered at Fort Sumter in April of 1861 were Irish born. They were Daniel Howe and Edward Galloway, killed in an accidental artillery mishap. It's really bizarre because after all of that long cannonade on Sumter, there were no casualties, no deaths until they surrendered and one of the artillery pieces that was sending off a salute blew up. It is also believed that Company E, the Irish Emerald Guard from the 33rd Virginia Infantry of the Stonewall Brigade,
Mhm.
may well have been the first unit to make that infamous rebel yell.
Mhm.
It was at the first Bull Run when attacking the 14th New York Guns on Henry Hill. Between 200 to 250,000 Irish men and their sons served in the American Civil War, with an estimated 150 to 180,000 fighting for the Union, while 20 to 40,000 fought for the Confederacy. A ratio of greater than 6 to 1 served the North. Between Northern and Southern forces, the war claimed the lives of between 25 to 35,000 of them. Nearly 4,000 of those fatalities belonged to the famed Irish Brigade. There were numerous Irish generals that served on both sides during the war. Among the Union Irish generals were Phil Sheridan, Michael Corcoran, James Shields, St. Clair A. Mulholland, and Patrick Henry Jones, as well as the lauded commander of the Irish Brigade, Brigadier General Thomas Francis Meagher. Among the Irish Confederate generals, the highest ranking was Patrick Cleburne. He commanded the 2nd Brigade of Hardee's Division. In January of 1864, Cleburne was the first officer to recommend that Davis recruit black soldiers, although Davis really didn't take advantage of that until the last month of the war. And although he began training with a small cadre of black recruits, they were never even armed.
Mhm. And one of the other interesting things the Irish are involved in was the draft riots of 1863. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah. The New York draft riots followed the Battle of Gettysburg in July of 1863. And some of the troops who were there at Gettysburg were pulled back to New York to handle the situation. It involved large numbers of Irish immigrants who rose up in opposition to the recent draft laws. Wealthy citizens at the time evaded service due to their ability to pay substitutes. Poor Irishmen hadn't the wherewithal. They claimed that the struggle had become a rich man's war and a poor man's fight. They took out their anger on the influx of Black Southern refugees who came to Manhattan and competed with them for the few jobs that were available. They caused much destruction in the city, including the burning of a Black orphanage. The riots claimed 100 civilian deaths and countless injuries.
You have a series of books that you've written at their fictional Civil War series, which is called Snake Bit. Tell me a little bit about that.
I've always been fascinated with the Civil War, having grown up in Springfield, Illinois, Lincoln's stomping grounds. Um, and I'd always fancied writing Civil War fiction. I didn't begin until I retired from teaching history and journalism. The series that you refer to is 16 books long, heavily researched. It covers a brief period before the war itself, and the entirety of Reconstruction. There are currently 8 of the 16 books published. A ninth will be out before the end of the month, and a 10th by the end of summer. The story is basically about 2 neighboring families in Western Maryland. Maryland, being a border state, was fairly split between the North and the South. One of these families is a slave-owning tobacco plantation, and the other is a farming family that secretly is involved in helping to bring slaves from the South to the North. Over the course of the story, my characters traverse East Coast to West Coast. One of them actually makes it up to Alaska. Another makes it to England. They wind up fighting on both sides in the war. And readers will learn a great deal about the politics of the era and what was going on in the lives of civilians during the war.
And that's how we're going to wrap things up for the month of June. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to the folks at the National Archives for the chance to talk about the 1926 census, and to John Paniski for all the information on how the Irish affected the American Civil War. Very interesting information that he provided us. And for more information, you can find out more on irishgenealogical.org. And until next month, by the way, next month will be the first episode of our 5th season, so you want to join us then. Take care. Are you a member of the IGSI? You're not, but you'd like to be? Here's all you have to do. Head to the website at irishgenealogical.org. There you'll find the join link on the left side of the page, and that's where you can sign up and become a member. You can also register for any of the webinars this year on the website as well. And as a member, you can also see past webinars from the previous year. And besides enjoying all the members' benefits, you can always sign in and go over many of the programs and services that the IGSI has to offer. And that would include viewing past webinars, surname interests, the e-newsletter. Would you like to be a volunteer at the IGSI? Here's all you have to do. Get on the website at irishgenealogical.org and scroll down to the volunteer link. There you can see all the options that are available to you. That would include helping out with the Irish Fest in Minnesota, or any of the social and educational programs, or you could even help out with the social media platforms and podcasts, or the SEPS magazine and Genealogist newsletter. Just click on the Volunteer Now link and sign up. For more information about the Irish Genealogical Society International, go to the website at irishgenealogical.org. And for more information on the podcast, contact podcast@irishgenealogical.org.